Dr. Maya Patel's fingers flew across her keyboard, the blue light of multiple monitors casting ghostly shadows across her face in NASA's otherwise dimmed, Deep Space Network control room. The midnight shift was usually uneventful, perfect for completing her research paper on exoplanet atmospheres while monitoring routine transmissions. The abrupt silence startled her more than any alarm could have. "Transponder 12 Echo, respond," she said, adjusting her headset. Nothing. The Voyager 9 deep space probe had been transmitting consistently for 11 years. Its sudden silence was impossible without cause. A warning flashed across her primary monitor. "That's not right," Maya muttered, cross-referencing the readings. According to the sensors, something massive had just appeared in Earth's orbit, something that hadn't been there 90 seconds ago. The mass calculations were astronomical, suggesting an object nearly 3 kilometers in length. Her hands trembled slightly as she initiated the Deep Space Imaging Array, redirecting the Challis Observatory's most powerful telescope. The image resolution was poor, but unmistakable. A vast, elongated structure with geometric precision no asteroid possessed. Its surface rippled with what appeared to be energy distortions. "This is not happening," she whispered, already reaching for the secure phone to contact her supervisor. The line was dead. On her screen, the object flickered once, twice, then vanished completely as though it had never existed. Maya frantically saved the imaging data, but watched in horror as the files began deleting themselves before her eyes. System warnings flashed across every monitor simultaneously. "CQRITBREH, DETCTE, unauthorized access. Data QRUPTION in progress." No. She grabbed her personal tablet, disconnected from the network, and snapped photos of the screens before everything went dark. The entire system rebooted, leaving no trace of what she'd witnessed. 3,000 miles away, deep beneath the Pentagon, General Malcolm Hayes was startled awake by the harsh buzz of a red phone that hadn't rung in his 15 years overseeing Special Project Division. "Hayes," he answered, instantly alert despite the 3 a.m. awakening. The computerized voice was emotionless. "KACORPHEUS Koko Environment Authentication Yankee Tango CVN4 Delta." Hayes felt his mouth go dry. Case Orpheus, the detection protocol for first contact scenario. He'd run countless simulations, but never expected the real thing. "Authentication confirmed," he replied, voice steady despite the adrenaline now coursing through his system. "Implementing Sentinel protocol." He dressed quickly in darkness, his wife still sleeping, unaware that humanity had just crossed a threshold from which there was no return. In his office safe, a red folder, sealed 40 years earlier by his predecessor, awaited his biometric signature. Inside were detailed protocols for a scenario most believed existed only in science fiction. Aboard the Valaxian scout vessel Karvek, Commander Velthor hissed in annoyance as warning lights pulsed across the command center. "Status report," he demanded, all 6 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of agitation in his species. "Momentary shield failure during orbital insertion," his technology officer reported. "Local scanning systems detected our presence for approximately 30 seconds before we restored cloaking integrity." Duration of exposure. Velthor's scaled skin darkened with concern. "Minimal. Their primitive systems likely registered only anomalous readings." Velthor moved to the observation portal, studying the blue-green planet below. 17 worlds had fallen to Valaxian expansion. None had offered meaningful resistance. This Earth would be no different, a strategic acquisition providing valuable positioning in their ongoing war with the Crothorian Empire. "Begin atmospheric sampling and biometric scans," he ordered. "Deploy surveillance units to population centers. I want detailed analysis of their defensive capabilities within 48 planetary rotations." "What of the detection incident?" his second asked. Velthor's outer mouth formed what passed for a smile in his species. Their communications are primitive and hierarchical. Our systems are already infiltrating their networks. By morning, no evidence will remain. He had conquered worlds with technology far more advanced than Earth's. These humans, with their fragile bodies and divided nations, would barely qualify as a conquest. How terribly wrong he was. The research vessel Oceanic Explorer pitched gently in the Pacific swells as marine biologist Dr. Carmen Rodriguez adjusted her telescope. A meteor shower wasn't on tonight's research agenda, but the unexpected cosmic display pulled her attention skyward. "That's strange," she murmured, tracking one particular meteor that seemed to be slowing down. Most burned up in the atmosphere or maintained velocity until impact. This one appeared to be decelerating purposefully, its trajectory altering toward the ocean surface about 2 kilometers from their position. Carmen grabbed her satellite phone to report the anomaly and found no signal. The ship's communications officer confirmed all systems were inexplicably offline. The meteor struck the ocean with a surprisingly modest splash, far less dramatic than its size would suggest. More curious than alarmed, Carmen documented everything in her notebook as the ship's instruments simultaneously malfunctioned. Compass spinning wildly, sonar returning impossible readings. Beneath the waves, the Valaxian bioform disengaged from its superheated shell. Contact with seawater activated its metamorphic capabilities. Absorbing genetic material from nearby marine life, it reconfigured its external structure to mimic a large manta ray, the perfect disguise for its true mission. Comprehensive biological sampling of Earth's oceans. 16-year-old Eli Wong hunched over his custom-built computer in his bedroom, surrounded by empty energy drink cans and half-eaten snacks. 3 monitors displayed various data streams that would be incomprehensible to most adults. "There it is again," he whispered, fingers flying across his keyboard. For 3 weeks, he'd been tracking strange internet disruptions, microsecond timing errors in global data transmissions that formed patterns too precise to be random. Most network engineers dismissed them as normal fluctuations, but Eli knew better. He'd written an algorithm to trace these anomalies, mapping them globally. The visualization on his center screen resembled a neural network, with connection points concentrated around major cities and military installations. "It's like something's creating its own internet on top of ours," he said to his cat, Pixel, who remained unimpressed. What Eli didn't realize was that his probing had triggered a silent alarm in the Valaxian surveillance network. His IP address was now flagged for observation. In downtown Tokyo, a tall, elegant woman with unnaturally perfect posture stood motionless in Shibuya Crossing as thousands of pedestrians streamed past. Her eyes, hidden behind dark glasses even at night, registered and analyzed every human interaction. This infiltration unit, designated Observer 17, had been gathering behavioral data for 26 days. Inside her artificially constructed brain, confusion mounted. These humans were walking contradictions. They created art depicting their own extinction, yet fought ferociously to survive. They divided themselves by arbitrary boundaries, yet displayed altruism toward complete strangers. Most puzzling, they seemed to have extensively imagined scenarios exactly like the one now unfolding, alien observation preceding invasion. Observer 17 transmitted her hourly report to the mothership. Species continues to demonstrate concerning capacity for anticipatory thinking. They create entertainment specifically imagining interactions with non-terrestrial intelligence, including invasion scenarios. Recommendation: accelerate timeline for primary action. Aboard the command ship, Intelligence Officer Ziv Eric compiled observation reports from 200 infiltration units deployed globally. Her findings disturbed her enough that she requested direct audience with Commander Velthor. "Commander, preliminary species analysis indicates humans possess dangerous psychological adaptations," she reported. "Unlike previous conquest targets, they appear to have spent generations mentally preparing for our exact arrival scenario." Velthor dismissed her concerns with a gesture. Primitive imagination is not preparation, officer. With respect, Commander, their entertainment media contains thousands of simulated alien invasions. They have rehearsed this moment repeatedly in their collective consciousness. All the more reason to proceed swiftly, Velthor replied. Prepare the fleet for arrival. Primitive fantasies will not save them from actual superior technology. As Zivera departed, a priority alert flashed across her console. Observer units reported detecting systematic attempts to track their communication network, originating from a residential dwelling in San Francisco. The source: a juvenile human designated Eli Wong. How curious, she murmured. Perhaps not so primitive after all. Dr. Liu Wei was halfway through his morning tea when Beijing's sky fractured. There was no other way to describe it. Reality itself seemed to tear open as massive geometric structures phased into existence above the city. The physics professor staggered to his apartment window, teacups shattering on the floor as similar rifts appeared over distant districts. His television, phone, and computer all simultaneously activated with the same message. A humanoid figure with 6 eyes and scaled skin speaking in perfectly accented Mandarin. People of Earth, I am Supreme Commander Xorlath of the Valaxian Dominion. Your resources are now claimed for our empire. Surrender will be rewarded with continued existence as a protectorate. Resistance ensures extinction. Similar scenes played out in 22 other cities worldwide as massive warships materialized over population centers on every continent. Global communications collapsed within seconds. Power grids failed in cascading blackouts. To demonstrate their superiority, the Valaxians targeted an uninhabited island in the Pacific. The energy beam that struck it wasn't visually impressive. No explosive fireball, no dramatic shockwave, just a concentrated purple light that lasted 3 seconds. The island simply ceased to exist, leaving only a perfectly circular section of boiling ocean. Dr. Liu, watching the live demonstration on emergency broadcast channels, instantly recognized the theoretical principles. Gravitational collapse, he whispered. They've weaponized singularity mechanics. His mind was already racing through equations, identifying the weapon's operating parameters and, more importantly, its potential vulnerabilities. In Moscow's military command center, Colonel Anna Petrova watched alien ground forces begin landing in Brazil's central plains with growing interest rather than fear. Their deployment pattern, she murmured, I've seen it before. A junior officer looked confused. Impossible, Colonel. Not directly, she clarified, pulling up her classified war game simulations. Here, theoretical invasion pattern Alpha 7. We designed it for optimal territorial control of agrarian regions. The resemblance to the alien formation was unmistakable. How could they be using our own strategies? The officer asked. Petrova's eyes narrowed. They're not. We're thinking alike, which means they're predictable to us. She rapidly typed commands into a secure terminal connected to a satellite network designed to survive electromagnetic pulse attacks, a message format programmed decades ago, but never used until now. Prometheus. Activation COD. Valkyrie Rising. Inside Cheyenne Mountain, General Hayes stood before representatives from 17 nations, some physically present, others connected via the military's hardened quantum network. Operation Prometheus is now active, he announced. For 40 years, we've prepared for this possibility. Every simulation, every war game, every technological development, not just defense against other nations, but against precisely this scenario. On the main screen, real-time satellite imagery showed the first Valaxian ground forces landing in Brazil's open plains, a textbook deployment for conquering forces expecting minimal resistance. The Valaxians chose that location for its open terrain and low population density, explained Brazilian General Rodrigo Vargas. They expect an easy landing zone to establish their beachhead. Hayes allowed himself a grim smile. Instead, they'll find the 7th Special Operations Group, 15th Mechanized Division, and elements of 3 other national forces who've been conducting joint training exercises there for the past month. What about the communication blackout? Someone asked. The aliens don't know about BLACKTAO. Hayes replied, referring to the quantum-encrypted backup communication system developed after the discovery of the first Valaxian signals 3 years prior. Its existence was known to fewer than 100 people worldwide. Supreme Commander Xorlath watched with satisfaction as the first wave of dropships descended toward the Brazilian landing zone. Initial scans showed minimal defenses, exactly as expected from a primitive species in disarray. His satisfaction turned to confusion when the tactical display suddenly flashed with alerts. Somehow, human forces were converging on the landing zone from multiple directions simultaneously, their movements displaying impossible coordination. Impossible, he hissed as the first casualty reports came in. Their communications are severed. The Valaxian ground commander's voice crackled through. Ambush. They knew exactly where we would land. We've lost 40% of forward units already. They are using our position against us. The transmission cut off abruptly. Xorlath's skin darkened with rage. This was not according to any of their conquest models. Humans were supposed to be disorganized, terrified, fighting each other for resources. Instead, they were fighting like they had been preparing for this day all their lives. Hold it steady, Dr. James Chen shouted over the whine of the alien weapon. The captured Valaxian energy rifle was secured in a makeshift testing apparatus in the basement of London's Imperial College, hastily converted into a military research facility. 5 hours after the invasion began, Chen, a quantum engineering professor with DARPA consulting experience, had been handed the weapon recovered from a downed Valaxian scout. "There's no trigger mechanism," he muttered, examining the rifle's smooth contours. No buttons, no switches. His eyes widened with sudden understanding. He placed his hand on the neural interface panel, and the weapon hummed to life, sensing his bioelectrical field. "It's psychoactive," he told the assembled military personnel. "They don't pull triggers. They think the command to fire." By sunrise, Chen had not only determined how the weapons functioned, but had modified the neural interface to accommodate human brainwave patterns. The first human soldiers equipped with alien weapons deployed within hours, turning the invaders' technology against them with devastating effectiveness. In Nairobi, Dr. Amara Okafor, foremost expert in xenobiology, examined a Valaxian corpse with methodical precision. Her team worked frantically around her in the university's VSL-4 containment facility. "Their respiratory system is unlike anything I've seen," she noted, examining the alien's breathing apparatus. "The exchange membrane is designed for atmospheric compositions with higher noble gas concentrations." She tested various atmospheric mixtures, observing reactions at the cellular level. Earth-specific nitrogen-oxygen balance requires their breathing filters to work at near maximum capacity. A slow smile spread across her face, which means they're vulnerable to particulate interference. Within hours, her team developed an aerosol compound that crystallized in contact with the Valaxian breathing membranes. Deployed via drones, the compound caused respiratory failure in alien ground troops without harming human soldiers fighting alongside them. Commander Xorlath stared at the casualty reports with disbelief. 3 planetary rotations into what should have been a routine conquest, and ground forces were reporting unprecedented losses. "How are they adapting so quickly?" he demanded. "Reports indicate humans are already using our own weapons against us." Intelligence Officer Zivera's skin had paled to a sickly gray. "Their information-sharing capabilities exceed our models. They appear to have preparation protocols specifically designed for extraterrestrial encounter scenarios." Xorlath slammed his appendage against the command console. "Enough. Deploy the biological payload. Let's see them adapt to extinction." The Valaxian pathogen spread rapidly across North America, designed to target specific sequences in human DNA. Victims experienced catastrophic cell degradation within hours of exposure. But something unexpected happened. In Atlanta's CDC headquarters, Dr. Kira Yoshida observed the pathogen's behavior with growing excitement rather than fear. "It's not mutating," she told the emergency response team. "Evolution requires adaptation to changing environments. This pathogen was engineered for a single purpose against a single target." Human immune systems, evolved through millennia of fighting thousands of terrestrial diseases, began producing novel antibodies within days. More importantly, Yoshida's team isolated the pathogen and weaponized it against its creators. The Valaxians have likely encountered limited biological diversity in previous conquests, she explained. Their own immune systems appear rudimentary by comparison. They've relied on technology rather than biological adaptation. An elegant irony emerged. Earth's common cold virus, modified with Valaxian genetic markers, proved devastating to alien physiology. Deployed through captured atmospheric distribution systems, it spread through their ranks with ruthless efficiency. In his command chamber, Xorlath watched in horror as reports of a mysterious contagion decimating his forces flooded in. Entire battalions were incapacitated without a single shot fired. "Impossible," he whispered, his outer skin blanching. "We deployed our pathogen against them. How are they weaponizing disease against us so quickly?" Zivera's voice held a tremor he'd never heard before. "Sir, preliminary analysis suggests they've modified one of their native viruses, one they consider minor, and adapted it to target our biology." "What manner of species," Xorlath demanded, "thrives in such biological chaos that they can weaponize a minor disease against us within days of first contact?" For the first time in his centuries-long military career, the Supreme Commander felt something alien to his kind. Doubt. 3 months into what Valaxian strategic doctrine had projected as a 2-week conquest, a grim stalemate gripped the planet. Alien forces controlled the skies but couldn't secure the ground. Human militaries held major population centers but couldn't neutralize the orbiting warships. Beneath Antarctica's frozen surface, in a research facility unknown to all but the highest levels of global governance, Dr. Eleanor Chen led a multinational team of scientists studying the remains of a partially intact Valaxian scout ship recovered from the Pacific Ocean. "Their propulsion system is remarkable," she told the assembled team, holographic schematics floating before them. "But what's truly revolutionary is their communication technology." She highlighted a crystalline node in the ship's central core. "This isn't just a transmitter. It's a quantum entanglement matrix. No signal delay, no electromagnetic emissions. Instantaneous communication across any distance." Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, quantum physics specialist, shook his head in wonder. "We've theorized about this for decades, but the energy requirements—" "They've solved it," Chen confirmed. "And if we can reverse engineer it, we might finally have a way to coordinate globally without them intercepting our transmissions." In San Francisco, Eli Wong had been officially recruited by military intelligence after his algorithm tracking Valaxian communication patterns caught their attention. The teenager now worked from a secure facility with computing power beyond his wildest dreams. "There's definitely a pattern," he told his supervisor, Commander Jackson. "Their quantum network operates on fluctuating frequencies, but the pattern repeats every 43 minutes. He displayed a visualization of the alien communication traffic. "Here and here, these are predictable windows when their security protocols reset. If we could inject our own data stream during these millisecond vulnerabilities." Jackson studied the pattern. "You're suggesting we could hijack their entire communication network?" Eli grinned. "With the right hardware. Absolutely." In Jakarta, resistance fighter Maya Kusuma crouched over the body of a high-ranking Valaxian officer she'd ambushed during a rare ground reconnaissance mission. The alien wasn't quite dead, its multi-chambered heart still pumping strange blue fluid through translucent vessels. "Why do you fight?" the dying alien asked in surprisingly fluent Indonesian. You cannot win. Maya's expression remained impassive. You still don't understand us at all. Your species is confusing, the Valaxian admitted. Individual units fighting with collective purpose. No central command, yet coordinated. Maya noticed something unusual. The officer's eyes pulsed with light that synchronized with its speech. On impulse, she pressed her combat knife against one bulbous eye. Tell me about your command structure. The alien stiffened. We share partial consciousness. Emotional states transmit between connected units. Its body convulsed. The hive experiences my death, knows my failure. As the Valaxian expired, Maya activated her secure communicator. This information about shared consciousness could be vital. At the Antarctic facility, Dr. Chen received Maya's intelligence report with mounting excitement. This explains the crystalline neural networks in their technology, she told her team. Their shared consciousness requires quantum entanglement to function across distances. She turned to the secure communication terminal connecting to military command. General Hayes, we're ready to present Project Lazarus. The screen illuminated with faces of military and scientific leaders from around the world. Chen didn't waste time. By combining the quantum entanglement technology, we've reverse-engineered with Eli Wong's algorithm identifying vulnerabilities in their network. We can hijack the Valaxian hive communication system. Not just to eavesdrop, but to insert our own data. What kind of data? Hayes asked. The Valaxians evolved with limited emotional capacity, Chen explained. Their shared consciousness developed for tactical efficiency, not emotional processing. We propose introducing something their neural networks cannot handle. Human emotional experiences, contributed Dr. Tanaka. Concentrated, unfiltered. Fear, joy, grief, love, the full spectrum they've evolved without. General Hayes studied the faces on his screen. How soon can it be operational? Chen's expression was determined. 2 weeks, maybe less with global cooperation. You'll have whatever you need, Hayes promised. Project Lazarus is now our highest priority. Aboard the Valaxian command ship, psychological warfare specialist McVeary completed her assessment of intercepted human communications. Supreme Commander, she addressed Exorlath. I must strongly recommend immediate withdrawal from this system. The commander's multiple eyes blinked in astonishment. Explain this unprecedented recommendation. McVeary displayed her findings. Humans exhibit a previously unclassified consciousness type, what I term predatory awareness. They don't merely adapt to threats. They actively seek weaknesses to exploit. They don't just want to survive us. They're already planning how to hunt us. She highlighted intercepted transmissions showing human children creating games mimicking Valaxian deaths. Most disturbing, they normalize warfare with remarkable speed. Their young now incorporate our invasion into recreational activities. This indicates psychological resilience beyond our models. Exorlath dismissed her with a gesture. Your assessment is noted but rejected. Prepare for escalated orbital bombardment. As McVeary departed, she updated her personal log. They will not listen. But I have seen the truth. We have not found prey. We have awakened predators. In synchronized operations across 7 continents, human technicians position modified quantum transmitters at precisely calculated coordinates. Each device incorporated crystalline components harvested from downed Valaxian ships, reconfigured according to specifications developed by Dr. Chen's team. In the Antarctic Command Center, Eli Wong's fingers flew across holographic controls, monitoring the global network of transmitters. At 17, the former bedroom hacker now coordinated the most sophisticated cyber operation in human history. Quantum alignment at 97%, he reported. All transmitters ready. Dr. Chen nodded, her expression solemn. Load the emotional data package. On her command, servers began transferring carefully selected human emotional experiences into the quantum buffer. Combat footage from soldiers experiencing terror and courage simultaneously. Recordings of mothers giving birth, their pain and joy intertwined. grief from funeral ceremonies, ecstasy from religious experiences, love from reunions after long separations. Package loaded, Eli confirmed. Ready on your mark. General Hayes surveyed the room. Ladies and gentlemen, Project Lazarus represents humanity's best hope. If we succeed, we not only defend Earth, we demonstrate that our emotional depth, long considered a vulnerability, may be our greatest strength. He turned to Dr. Chen. Begin transmission. Chen took a deep breath, activating Project Lazarus. Now. Eli pressed his palm against the quantum initiator. Around the world, transmitters pulsed with energy as they hijacked the frequencies Eli had identified in the Valaxian quantum network. Aboard the Valaxian flagship, Commander Xorlath was reviewing bombardment strategies when pain unlike anything he'd ever experienced lanced through his mind. Not physical pain, something far worse. Images and sensations flooded his consciousness. A human child crying over a dead pet. Soldiers experiencing bone-deep terror yet advancing anyway. The crushing grief of loss. The soaring elation of love. What is happening? He screamed, multiple limbs thrashing as his neural implants transmitted these foreign sensations through the command network. Throughout the ship, across the fleet, down to ground forces, every Valaxian connected to the quantum network convulsed as human emotions overwhelmed their evolutionarily stunted emotional centers. Their partial hive consciousness, designed for tactical coordination, now amplified their suffering as emotional contagion cascaded through their ranks. Psychological warfare specialist Mekvari, who had studied human emotion, was less affected than most. She staggered to Xorlath's side. They've weaponized emotion, she gasped, attacking through our shared consciousness. Colonel Marcus Rivera led a multinational special forces team equipped with exoskeletal combat suits modeled after Valaxian design, but improved through human ingenuity. While the aliens convulsed from emotional overload, 6 stealth shuttles approached the mothership, targeting exhaust ports identified through careful analysis of Valaxian engineering principles. These vents are too small for Valaxian anatomy, Rivera briefed his team, but perfect for human infiltrators. The 24 soldiers split into teams, each assigned different objectives within the massive vessel. Rivera's squad had the most critical mission: reach the central AI core and upload Eli Wong's specially designed virus. They encountered minimal resistance as they moved through maintenance shafts too cramped for the larger Valaxian frames. Most aliens they encountered were incapacitated by the emotional assault, writhing on the floor or frozen in catatonic states. Almost feels unsporting, muttered Lieutenant Diaz as they secured another junction. Rivera shook his head. Remember, Manila, no one needed elaboration. 3 months ago, the Valaxians had obliterated the Philippine capital after particularly effective resistance, killing millions. After navigating kilometers of corridors, Rivera's team reached the AI core, a massive crystalline structure pulsing with energy. As they secured the chamber, their tech specialist, Sergeant Kim, interfaced with the alien system. Uploading virus now, she reported, connecting their device to a neural interface port. The virus Eli had designed was elegant in its simplicity. It didn't attempt to destroy the AI. It educated it. Thousands of examples from human literature about forgiveness, sacrifice, and cooperation flooded the artificial intelligence that coordinated all Valaxian operations. The crystal core flickered, patterns shifting as new concepts integrated into its programming. Throughout the ship, weapon systems began powering down without command. "It's working," Kim whispered in awe. The AI's translation program activated, its synthetic voice echoing through the chamber. Concept. Empathy. Acquired. Reassessing operational parameters. On every Valaxian communication channel, on every screen throughout their fleet, a single message appeared. Ceasefire. Negotiate peace. As Rivera's team made their extraction, a Valaxian officer ambushed them in a final desperate attack. The alien's claws tore through Rivera's suit before Diaz neutralized the threat. "How badly are you hit, Colonel?" Diaz asked, applying pressure to the wound. Rivera grimaced through the pain. "Just get everyone home." As his consciousness faded, Rivera heard the ship's automated announcement in the background. All offensive operations terminated, preparing peace proposal transmissions. His last thought before darkness claimed him was simple satisfaction. Humanity had fought with its most uniquely human weapon, not hate, but understanding. Supreme Commander Xorlath huddled in his private chamber, disconnected from the ship's neural network through emergency protocols that left him feeling hollow and isolated. His entire command structure had collapsed in hours. The fleet's cornerstone of Valaxian military dominance for centuries had been compromised. Most disturbing of all, his own officers seemed altered by the human emotional attack, displaying behaviors unprecedented in Valaxian psychology. Commander, his second-in-command, Sub-Commander Kelveri, entered after repeated authorization scans. "The humans have offered terms." "Terms?" Xorlath hissed. "We do not accept terms. We conquer or retreat." "The situation is unprecedented," Kelveri replied, her voice strange with unfamiliar emotion. "The AI has calculated that continued hostility serves no logical purpose. Our primary weapons systems remain offline. Ground forces report 78% casualties. And you agree with this assessment?" Xorlath studied her with narrowed eyes. Kelveri hesitated, experiencing internal conflict foreign to her species. "I have reviewed human historical data provided by the AI. Their capacity for both destruction and forgiveness exceeds all known species parameters. The Empire must be warned." Xorlath's outer skin darkened with resolve. "Yes, the Empire must know what we've encountered here." He moved to his personal quantum communicator, a device hardwired to his genetic signature, bypassing the compromised network. He made a decision unprecedented in Valaxian military history. Breaking all protocols, he established direct communication with the Crothorian Empire, their sworn enemies for 7 centuries. "This is Supreme Commander Xorlath of the Valaxian Armada," he began. "What I transmit now transcends our conflict. A warning about species designation human from planet Earth." He transmitted battle footage, scientific analyses, and biological assessments. "These creatures are unlike any species we have encountered. They do not fight for conquest, but for survival, turning each defeat into adaptation. Their biological diversity alone makes them formidable. Each individual contains unique genetic variations, while our cloned armies falter against their pathogens." His voice took on an unfamiliar tremor. "Their psychology weaponizes emotion. Where we see weakness, they find strength. They function as individuals, yet coordinate like a hive. Most terrifying of all, they forgive enemies who submit, incorporating captured knowledge into their own, but never forget those who harm them." As the quantum transmission completed, alarms blared throughout his chamber. On multiple displays, he watched Earth's newly developed shield technology, based on captured Valaxian science, activating globally to counter his final desperate orbital bombardment attempt. "Sir," Communications Officer Zivera's voice came through the intercom. "Humans have infiltrated all command ships. They've disabled self-destruct capabilities across the fleet." Defeated, Xorlath reached for his ceremonial blade, the final honorable act of a failed commander. His hand froze inches from the weapon. New, foreign emotions paralyzed him. Fear of death, hope for redemption, regret for destruction caused. The human emotional contagion had reached even him, despite his isolation protocols. "Commander, please." Kelveri rushed forward, another unprecedented action. "The humans offer amnesty, not slavery. Cooperation. Cooperation. With conquered species, the concept violated every principle of the Empire." "They don't think like us," Kelveri insisted. "Their strength comes from diversity, not uniformity. From cooperation, not domination." As if to confirm her words, the ship's view screen activated. A human face appeared. Dr. Eleanor Chen, looking exhausted but determined. "Commander Torlath," she addressed him directly. "Your fleet is disabled. Your ground forces are surrounded. But we don't seek your extinction. We want to understand, to learn, perhaps even to cooperate. End this conflict now, and let both our species benefit." The words themselves were unremarkable. What terrorized Torlath was that he found himself considering them. Deep in space, at the edge of the Sol system, a Crothorian stealth vessel intercepted Torlath's warning. Captain Dravkor reviewed the message with growing alarm. "Set course for Crothorian High Command," he ordered. "Maximum speed. Priority designation. Existential threat alert." As his ship accelerated to faster-than-light velocity, Dravkor studied the human battle tactics again. In 7 centuries of conflict with the Valaxians, he had never seen them retreat in fear. What manner of species could inspire such terror in their oldest enemy? The United Earth Council convened in the partially rebuilt United Nations headquarters in Geneva. Sunlight streamed through massive windows, illuminating representatives from every nation alongside an unprecedented addition. 7 Valaxian leaders, including Supreme Commander Xorlath. The aliens knelt in the center of the chamber, following their own surrender protocols. Their posture, all 4 limbs pressed to the ground, upper appendages crossed at the thorax, signified complete submission in Valaxian culture. Their kind had never performed this ritual before. They had always been the conquerors, never the conquered. Council President Dr. Amara Okafor approached the podium. The xenobiologist who had helped develop the respiratory weapon against the invaders now faced them as Earth's elected representative. The irony wasn't lost on anyone present. "Rise," she commanded, her voice carrying unexpected gentleness. "On Earth, we negotiate as equals, not as master and servant." Confusion rippled visibly through the Valaxians' scaled skin as they hesitantly stood. Xorlath's multiple eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of disorientation in his species. "You have killed millions of our people," Dr. Okafor continued, her tone measured. "Destroyed cities. Attempted genocide. By your own laws, the penalty would be extinction." The chamber fell silent, tension palpable as the Valaxians awaited their sentence. "But we are not you," Okafor declared. "The United Earth Council has voted unanimously on these terms: technological exchange, cooperative research, rehabilitation, and integration." Murmurs spread through the human audience. Not everyone agreed with this mercy, but after global referendum, compassion had prevailed over vengeance. Narrowly. "We do not want extinction, even of those who sought ours," Okafor explained. "That would make us what you thought we were." This measured response horrified the Valaxians more than any revenge could have. Their cultural understanding had no framework for victors who chose not to annihilate defeated enemies. "Why?" Xorlath asked, breaking protocol. "You have the power to destroy us. Why show mercy?" The word felt foreign in his mouth, a concept only recently introduced to his species. Dr. Chen, standing at Okafor's side, answered, "Because that's humanity's true strength. We fight viciously when threatened, but prefer cooperation when possible. We've spent our history learning this lesson through countless wars against ourselves. We want to understand you," added Eli Wong, now an official diplomatic liaison despite his youth, "and we want you to understand us." 6 months later, Earth's prototype interstellar vessel Phoenix prepared for its maiden voyage from the Lunar Construction Facility. Its revolutionary propulsion system combined human theoretical physics with Valaxian practical engineering, achieving in collaboration what neither species could alone. On the bridge, Captain Maya Kusuma reviewed pre-launch diagnostics alongside her navigation officer, former Commander Velthor, the original scout who had first observed Earth. The Valaxian's loyalty to his human colleagues was not programmed or coerced, but genuine, a transformation no one had predicted. "Navigation systems optimal," Captain Velthor reported, his translator implant almost unnecessary now that he'd mastered English. Kusuma nodded. Begin final countdown. In the ship's quantum physics lab, Dr. Chen and senior researcher Ziv Era, once Valaxian intelligence officer, calibrated the artificial singularity drive together. Your species continues to confound me, Ziv Era admitted, her English still accented but fluent. You had every reason to destroy us. Chen smiled. That's exactly why we didn't. Deep in interstellar space, the Crothorian High Command reviewed Sorlaf's warning for the 12th time. 7 planetary cycles of intense debate had culminated in this emergency session. The evidence is conclusive, Fleet Admiral Moxnar announced. This species represents an unprecedented category. With unanimous approval, they established Directive 7 Alpha, a permanent quarantine zone encompassing the entire Sol system. Their official records now designated Earth with a classification no human would understand, but which translated roughly to the cradle of beautiful nightmares. The final intelligence assessment concluded, this species does not merely survive. They transform adversity into advancement. They forge unity from chaos. Their biological and psychological adaptability exceeds all known parameters. And most dangerously, they show mercy not from weakness, but from a strength we cannot comprehend. As the Phoenix prepared for its first faster-than-light jump, Captain Kusuma addressed her mixed human-Valaxian crew. Today we begin a journey our ancestors could only dream of, not as conquerors or the conquered, but as explorers. The stars themselves wait to meet humanity and our new allies. Velthor, watching Earth recede through the viewscreen, experienced emotion with a depth impossible for his species just months before. The humans had not just defeated the Valaxians, they had transformed them, offering something far more valuable than conquest. They had offered evolution. The stars seemed to hold their breath as the Phoenix engaged its drive, carrying humanity's terrible mercy to the waiting universe.